My wife thinks I'm having an affair and does the unthinkable. My wife and I had a baby last December. It was a traumatic birth, and my wife developed postpartum depression. While she had originally planned to go back to work after the birth, she struggled enough that we decided to wait until our daughter turned a year old and reassess. She had been going to therapy weekly. With my wife home full-time, I had to work increased hours. This was something we had discussed prior to making the decision, and she knew this from the start. A few weeks ago, my boss approached me about a project that would require a lot of overtime in a short amount of time. It was both financially rewarding and beneficial for my career. I talked to my wife about it, and she agreed that I should say yes to my boss. For the 4 weeks I'd be working on this, my mother-in-law and her best friend, Jessie, came to help out with some of the duties that I typically did. Jessie was a stay-at-home mom with a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. She began coming over during the day and watched the kids with my wife. 3 weeks into the project, it became clear that we'd need a few more weeks to get it together. I went home that night and talked to my wife about it. She said she was okay with it but got very distant in the days after. It wasn't unusual behavior over the past few months, so I didn't think much about it and tried not to take it personally. During the last week of the project, I got home one night and saw that Jessie was still at the house. I didn't think much about it, said hi to her and my wife, and then went to check on our daughter. Before I could get to her room, I overheard Jessie saying something like, "He doesn't even stop to greet me." Definitely a sign. I turned around and asked what it was a sign of. Immediately, my wife started crying, and Jessie accused me of having an affair. She told me that I must hate my wife because she has postpartum depression and I'm not attracted to her because she gained weight from the pregnancy. Neither of these things was true. I had been trying my best to help my wife through her depression while supporting our family. Jessie then demanded to see my phone. I told her no. She told me that's a sign that I'm guilty. I told my wife that I would let her see my phone if she wanted to. She nodded, and something inside me broke. I guess it was the thought that she actually believed I was having an affair that really got to me. And that she didn't trust me after everything we'd been through. Well, she looked through the phone, and there was no evidence. Jessie started saying that I deleted the evidence. She started screaming and woke up our daughter, so I told her to get out of the house. Eventually, she left, and I went to calm our daughter since my wife was still on the couch crying. When my daughter was asleep again, I sat down with my wife and tried to talk to her about what had been happening. She told me that she had been worried ever since I started working overtime. I told her that we'd talked about how good of an opportunity it was, and she agreed to let me take on this project. She said it was very suspicious that the length of the project had increased. I told her that sometimes that happens. She wanted more evidence, so I showed her messages and emails with timestamps from work and pay stubs showing the overtime. She said she believed me and was sorry for doubting me and that it was Jessie who had been telling her that these were all signs that I was cheating. I asked her why she believed Jessie more than me and why she didn't come to me with her concerns. She didn't have a real answer for that. A couple of weeks passed by after that, and the project was finally over. Towards the end of the project, I had actually scaled back the amount of work I was doing so I could spend more time with my wife and daughter. But despite doing all that, I couldn't help but feel burnt out by trying to do everything I could to mend our damaged relationship. Was it wrong to feel some resentment? Because in the back of my mind, I knew that my wife didn't trust me. I asked myself, what would happen the next time I had a project? Or if I had to run errands one day? Or if I had a business trip? Would I come back every time to accusations that I was cheating? I tried bringing it up a couple of times, but my wife told me it wasn't the time and that she was tired or sad. I tried to be mindful of her feelings, but I wondered if that meant that I could never have any of my own. I approached my wife and told her that I was going to find a therapist. I didn't connect it to her accusations or anything. I just said that I was having a tough time and needed therapy. She shrugged and told me to do whatever. The next day, I got home from work, and the house was completely torn apart. Things were everywhere. I didn't see her, but I heard our daughter crying in her room. My wife had left her alone, and her cell phone was off. I called my in-laws and a few friends, but no one had seen her. I started to get worried and called my mom to see if she could babysit while I went out to look for her. Before my mom could get there, my wife showed up outside with Jessie. She was clearly upset and had been crying. I was utterly confused. I thought at first the house might have been robbed. She started screaming at me that I was being unfaithful and that the therapy was a front so I could meet my mistress. I tried to calm her down and tell her that it wasn't true, but she came at me and she hit me right in the face. My nose broke. She kind of realized what she did and sat down on the couch and went comatose, just stared at the wall. I went into my daughter's room and locked the door. I called my mom to tell her what happened and my mother-in-law to ask her to come over and take care of my wife. I packed a bag for my daughter, and when my mom got there, we left. My wife didn't even look up. We dropped my daughter off with my dad and then went to urgent care for my nose. I got blood all over my mom's new car. My daughter and I stayed with my parents for a while, and my wife stayed with hers. I've thought about it for a couple days, but this relationship was probably over. I loved her, but I couldn't live with someone who hurt me and who could potentially hurt our daughter. I didn't move forward with a divorce yet, with the hopes that my wife would get the treatment she needed, and we could work things out. My in-laws told me that they were looking at inpatient treatment at a local hospital. But I also documented everything well in case of an eventual custody battle. My heart was broken because I knew this wasn't my wife, it was a sickness in her mind. But I needed to keep myself and our daughter safe and give her the space to recover. On Sunday night, she came to my parents' house and demanded I give her our daughter. Because she had left her alone for several hours the last time she was responsible for her and had gotten physical with me, I refused. I offered to let her come in and spend time with her while my parents and I were present, but she didn't want to come in and wanted to take our daughter with her. She was upset but left eventually. A few hours later, she drove her parents' car into a tree and died. Just like that, she was gone.